One of my favorite things to do when I'm out in the woods is to flip over logs and see if I can find any creatures living underneath. So I'm going to go ahead and flip over this log and see if we can find anything. Oh, I don't see anything big under here. I see a couple little bugs, but why don't we try this log over here and see if we find anything. Oh, wow, look, there is a salamander. Now, I'm going to really quick get my hands wet before I touch the salamander so I don't accidentally wipe off some of his protective slime. So I want to make sure my hands are nice and wet. And now we can take a look at this salamander. Look at this guy. This is a Jefferson mole salamander. And look at those long toes that he has. And that beautiful little bit of blue on him. Now, he might seem a little bit bigger than some salamanders that you're used to seeing, maybe when you're out exploring the creek. That's because he's a mole salamander, and they actually live most of their lives in the leaf litter and in the soil. So being under a log is a perfect place for him to spend time. So now we're going to go ahead and return this salamander back to the forest. Now, before we do that, we want to flip over the log where we found him very gently in case there's any small creatures we didn't see. So we're going to go ahead and put that back, and then we'll let our salamander go right next to it. So we don't accidentally squish him, but he can still go underneath if he wants. Bye, salamander. Joshua, what bird is that?
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Good find, Aaron. Wow, that is a black-throated green warbler. So cool. Just check that guy out. And oh, there's a bay-breasted warbler. Wow, you don't see those too often.
Is that a black-throated blue?
Oh, yes, it is. Wow. Oh, and a prothonotary warbler. Check that out. Ooh, and check out this redstart. An American redstart, a lot of people call it.
Oh, that's my favorite, a magnolia warbler.
Wow, this is a really good spot.
It really is.
It's very typical in birding that you'll be hiking around and not see a bird for a little while, and then you'll see a bunch of different species all traveling together. Safety in numbers. That is cool. Aaron, check this out. Wow. So whenever you get to a really cool animal that's just kind of out in nature doing its thing, we have to keep in mind that these animals are typically really scared of us. And an animal that is scared of us, that has teeth, can bite us, but just because they want to get us away. So we really should not pick up this animal and just kind of let it control the experience, but let's get a little closer and see what we can find. This is just so cool that we saw this today. This is a common snake that we find out in the woods in Ohio, but we don't get to see them all too often. This is a rat snake. He's got a white chin. If I was to pick him up, you'd see like a checkerboard pattern all the way down his belly. But look at that. Really, really, really neat. Sometimes when you get close to a snake, they will stick out their tongue. And they're not trying to make fun of you. They're just smelling you. They're just kind of exploring and trying to figure out who we are, just like we're exploring it. Really neat. We're going to let it go and return back to the forest.
Enjoying your water break?
Oh, yeah. This is a really good spot. It's got my nice big shady oak right here.
So you do know you're sitting next to poop, right?
What? Oh, wow. This isn't poop. This is not poop. This is an owl pellet. Do you know what owl pellets are?
No, what are they?
So owls, when they eat their food, they can't like digest a whole mouse at once. So they actually separate all the bones and the fur and the skulls, all that stuff, and then they puke it out. And then the rest of the stuff goes in their tummy. But they get rid of this stuff. And here's another one. This is really neat. This means that an owl has been sitting way up here in the top of this tree, puking. And we just found it. Let's go ahead and dissect it and see what they ate.
All right.
All right. All right, we just used our nature journal as kind of a nature exploration table and dissected one of our owl pellets kind of quickly. If we had the right tools, we were going to bring this inside and clean up these things, but this is just incredible. Look at this. Look at this little bone. It's just like so cute.
Wow, look how small that is.
Yeah, I wonder if it was a part of a leg of a mouse. Because look at this. This is a skull. Check that out. This is where its eyes used to be.
Wow.
And its front teeth. And then I also saw this right down here. This is the lower jaw. So this kind of fit together kind of like this. And so it would open up its mouth and grind the seeds and things that they like to eat. Rah, 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 rah. Pretty cool.
There's so many things in just that one little owl pellet.
You know, I'm interested. I'm going to take this owl pellet home so that I can dissect it with some water and kind of explore what can be inside it. But here, I'm going to let all of this stuff kind of return back to nature. And really, a best way to do that is to kind of move the leaf litter around. And I'm just going to go ahead and pour it right in here and then cover it with leaves. And so nature is going to go ahead and decompose that and turn it back to dirt. And maybe next year when I'm hiking by, a little plant will be growing here and using some of these little mouse bits. Well, break's over.
All right, let's go see what else we can find. A lot of times we are out exploring the forest during the day, but there's a whole bunch of creatures that come out at night during the forest that we might not get to see if we're only going out during the day. So one of the best ways to see what kind of animals are out in our forest is to look for tracks. And a great place to look is in mud, like what's right behind me here. This mud is perfect for recording our animal tracks. Look at these tracks in the mud here. And there's even some bigger ones that look the same over here. I think this is a white-tailed deer, like the skull that we saw earlier. And that would make sense. They're pretty common here in Ohio. And it looks like this deer was traveling this way because its toes are pointing that way. And not too far away, here's a raccoon track. Look at the long fingers. They kind of look like our handprint. And over here we have a coyote track. Coyotes are also fairly common in Ohio, but they actually came here from the west. Look at this track as compared to our raccoon track. It looks kind of different. That's because our coyotes have toe pads that makes different markings in the dirt.
Well, thanks for sharing those tracks with me, Aaron.
You're welcome.